triad. So this triad is all graphing. I don't find it amusing. So this triad is introduction to graphing. So the basic, we're going to start basic, and you guys probably remember a lot of what I'm going to go through with you today. Tomorrow's stuff will be new. But before we can start graphing, I have to make sure you understand some of the key concepts. So, terminology. When you have the arrows going up and down and the arrows going left to the right, it's called the coordinate plane. So this thing here is called the coordinate plane. It doesn't always have to be even, meaning the x, where it crosses like that, it doesn't always have to be right in the middle. You can also have a coordinate plane that looks like this. The main thing that makes a coordinate plane is that it has this middle area here where the axes cross, okay? So, terminology. You have the x-axis. So you need to write this down on the right side of your paper here. So you have the x-axis. Go ahead and label it to the right-hand side. Your x-axis is the horizontal axis, meaning it runs from left to right. I have one on my keyboard. Do you want to grab it real fast? So the x-axis is the horizontal axis. It runs from left to right. So go ahead, write the definition, and then go ahead and make sure you label your x-axis there. Your y-axis is going to be your vertical axis. It's going to go up and down. So make sure you label the y at the top. And then where the axes intersect or cross one another is called the origin. So where the x and y axis intersects is going to be called the origin. The origin is this part here right in the middle. Now, if you do not remember these three terms, you will not do well this triad. Okay, so make sure you remember these three terms. It's going to be very important. Okay, we all have it? Okay, let's look at the next page then. So when you go into graphing, you have ordered pairs. Every ordered pair has how many numbers? Two numbers. They're separated by a comma, and then they're inside of parentheses. So if you don't have parentheses, so like let's say that you go to write me a set of ordered pairs and you don't put parentheses around that ordered pair, then it's not considered an ordered pair. It wouldn't be right. So you need to make sure, what's the matter?
It is the odd parentheses.
Nope.
It was just, okay.
Nope. So you need to make sure each ordered pair has two numbers. They're separated by a comma and they're inside of parentheses. If you don't separate it by a comma, like let's say you didn't put a comma here, I think that's 25. Not 2, 5. So it's going to change the value. When you're dealing with ordered pairs, what are our axis names again? What are our axes? X and Y. So when you're doing an ordered pair, which comes first, the Y or the X? X. And then the Y. So ordered pairs go in alphabetical order. So X, then Y. So your first number will always be X. Your second number will always be Y. Okay? All right? The next little spot here. The first number is always the X. So it's going to be on the X coordinate. And it tells us which way we're going to move, right or left. So on our coordinate plane, the x-axis, we do that one first. So we always need to know if I'm going to move to the right or to the left. So if I have my coordinate plane here, and my x value is 2, I always start at the origin. If it's a positive 2, am I going to go right or am I going to go left? It's kind of like a number line. Remember how our number lines go from left to right? On a number line, if you go to the right, the numbers are, and if you go to the left, the numbers are negative. So if my x value is 2, am I going to go to the right or to the left? Right, because it's a positive 2. Don't graph that yet. Don't graph those yet. So then the second number is always the y-coordinate. And that tells us if we're going to move up or down. So the 5 is on our y-coordinate. So it's going to tell us if we're going to move up or down. Now, again, the y-axis is just a number line flipped. So if I start at my origin and I go up, my numbers are going to be positive or negative? Positive. If I go down, my numbers are going to be, so the 5 will be a, go up or down? Up. Okay, let's take a look at the next part here. So, the first example, please don't work ahead of me. You have the ordered pair 2, 4. What I do every single time until I am really good at graphing, I go ahead and write up above my ordered pair X and Y. This helps me keep track of what number goes where. The next thing that I do is I make sure that my coordinate plane is labeled, meaning my x-axis is labeled and my y-axis is labeled. At some point, they won't always be labeled, and then it will be your job to do so. Anytime that you are graphing, you always start at the origin. What's the origin? What's the origin? The middle, where they intersect, the x and y axis intersect. So you always start at the origin. So when I say, Deontay, graph the ordered pair 2, 4, you're going to say, start at the origin. Now, my x-axis, the value is what? 2. So am I going to go to the right 2 or to the left 2? Right, so 1, 2. Now I don't plot that yet. Now my y value is what? 4. So if my y value is 4, positive 4, do I go up or down? So I'm going to follow my grid lines and I'm going to go up 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to plot that point. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make my point nice and large. And I'm going to make sure that it's right in the corner of where all those grid lines intersect. So make sure you plot your point right in the corner. Don't plot it some middle of the line because that wouldn't be accurate. Now, because this isn't given a name like point A, we don't have to worry about labeling it. On some, you will have to worry about labeling it. But for this first few examples, you will not. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So we have 2, negative 2. So again, I'm going to go ahead and label my y. I'm going to go ahead and label my ordered pair. My x is first, then my y. And then I'm going to make sure my coordinate plane is labeled. Now, my x-axis, which direction does my x-axis run? Which direction does my x-axis run?
Left to right.
Left to right. What's another word for saying left to right?
I can't get no teacher.
What's another word for saying left to right? Look on your notes. Left to right. What's that word that means from left to right? No.
Up, down.
The H word.
The H word, horizontal. So, when I go to plot 2, negative 2, I'm going to start where? Where do I always start when I go to graph? The origin. So I'm going to start at my origin, which is where the x and y intersect. Now it's a positive 2, so am I going to move to the right or to the left 2 spots? So I'm going to move 1, 2 to the right. Then my y is negative 2, so am I going to move up 2 or down 2?
Down 2.
So down 2. And then I'm going to plot my point right there. Now, you can choose to draw the lines if it helps you for now, or you can choose not to. I was just using that as a visual to show you which way you move. So the y-axis is up and down. What's the other word that means up or down? That's
No,
vertical. Good. All right, let's take a look at the last example on the front page here. So we have negative 4 and 1. So, Devontae, where do I start in order to plot this ordered pair? Where do I start? Anytime I graph, where do I always start? The origin. Now, It's a -4. So am I going to move left or right on my x-axis? Left. So I'm going to go over 4 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then my y is a +1. So am I going to move up 1 or down 1? Because it's a positive. I'm going to plot my point. Okay? Questions so far? Sorry, I said that was the last example on the front page. We have one more. All right, last one. We have 0, -3. So, Darius, where do I start? I start at the origin. My x value is 0. So which direction do I move? Yeah, I stay right where I'm at. If the value is 0, you cannot move left or right. It's nothing. So you stay put. My y value is, so do I go up or down on the y-axis? So I'm going to go down 3 spots. So 1, 2. So this one I'm going to plot right on my y-axis, and that's okay. All right, now you may flip it over. So plot and label each of the points below. Go ahead and take a couple of minutes to plot them, and then we're going to plot them together to make sure you have them right. Okay? Go ahead and take a couple of minutes to plot them independently, then we'll go through to make sure that you have them all done correctly. All right, let's go ahead and go through this now. What do you notice about my coordinate plane right off the bat? Are my axes labeled?
No.
No. So I need to label them. I'm going to label the top as which axis? The y. So, and then my axis that runs from the left to the right should be labeled as my x. Good. Thank you. They go right over on that shelf where there's nothing there. So, I'm going to point plot A first. I'm just going to go around the room. Now, as I go around the room, you're going to tell me where I start, which direction I move, and then the end plot. So we're going to start with Brendan. You're going to plot point A for me. So I start at the... Okay, then I go which direction?
To the right.
Okay, then what?
You go up.
How many spots?
5.
And then I label that point plot. What do I label it? Because that ordered pair has a name. What's that ordered pair called? A. So you're going to have to label it A. So then when I go to check it, I can say, oh, you have A correct. Okay. Jemiah, where do I start? Okay, and then what do I do? Okay. Okay, now what? Go, I'm sorry, I just didn't hear you. And then I label this one point. Okay? Then I'm going to go to Nick. Okay?
Go right now.
Then?
You can't go down 8.
And I label that point.
C.
Questions so far? Okay? Rihanna. Did you guys notice something about my ABCs?
The D possible.
Right. So we're gonna skip from C and go to E. So you're gonna do E and then we'll come back to D. So what's E? Where do I start?
-3. Don't you go,
Nope, we're doing E. I start at the, right? I start at the,
oh my god.
look at your front page if you don't remember the word.
The origin.
The origin. And then for my X is 7. So which direction do I move on my X axis?
Don't you move, right.
How many spots?
7.
And then for my y, where do I move?
Don't you move up?
My y is what?
0.
So if
Just
it's
stay there.
so I just stay there. So I'm going to plot it on the x-axis, and I'm going to label that point
E.
E. All right, D to you, D Devante. So where do I start? And then what do I do? I always do my x-axis first. So my x is -3. So my x runs left to right. So if it's -3, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? Left. How many spots? And then 1, 2. And then what about for my y? Stay there because it's a 0, and I label that D. Good. Hannah. Gosh. Haley. F for me.
You don't move at all.
Nope, that's not where you start. Start at the,
Consider.
which is called the.
I don't care what it's called.
I do because you're going to need to know it. The only way that you can graph is if you know that center name called. Because every time you go to graph, you're going to say you start at the origin. So we're going to start at the origin and do what?
Move left.
Well, your F is 0,
Yeah.
so that's your x-axis, right? So if the x is 0, do I move anywhere for 0? No. Then my y is -6, so my y-axis, am I going to go up or down for -6?
Oh,
For -6.
down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So you're going to go down how many spots?
6.
And you're going to name that?
Yep.
Good. All right, G, Darius. Okay? No, because you just graphed your y first. We should always graph.
We go to your left.
Okay? So, because it's a -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And then what?
Then you go down.
Then I go down 8. And I'm going to label that.
G.
And last one is Kelsey. Okay? I really hope you're not working ahead because what I see you doing right now is not right.
Who?
You. So do what?
I know. I'm about to say. I know. I'm trying to be good.
So I go left 4. Okay? I'll stay there and label it. Perfect. How'd you guys do on that?
So deep.
Yeah? I will say this. Sometimes people struggle a little bit with the one direction and the other. That's all right. You'll get it. If you are studying with Mr. Hauk, you may go ahead and go now. But remember, you do have an assignment that I'm going to give to you, and you need to finish your notes. Now, this bottom part of your notes that you're going to look at is going to be different than how we did the top. In graphing, it is so very important that you use straight lines. If you turn something like this into me, I trash it. I won't even take the time to grade it.
Man, it worked.
I want straight lines. Not only that, but when you do straight lines, you're going to draw line segments. Okay? Because right now, what we're graphing, that's not going to go on and on and on. So, let's take a look at this bottom part here.
It was right though.
All right, you guys can go ahead and go. So let's take a look at this bottom part here. So you were given plot, it says, so in your directions it says, plot each of the points, then use a ruler or your ID or the edge of a folder to connect the points in each pair. Now, I'm going to do the first few with you. So what that means, when you go to connect your points, you have to use a ruler. You have to use your ID. You have to use the edge of your folder to connect your two dots to draw your line. I do not want crooked, curved, shaky lines. I want straight lines, okay? So when you guys go to do this on your quiz or your test or your homework, if I don't have straight lines, hold on because they're not right still, okay?
Yes, it is.
So
My bad.
That's so super annoying. When I'm the teacher and I've taught this 7 years and I have a kid that's doing it wrong, tell me it's not wrong. Because you know, okay, I get it. But please use straight edge. I guarantee you I will still have a fool not use a straight edge after I just told you for 5 minutes straight to use a straight edge. No, he didn't do the foolish thing second time yet. Not yet. Now, I guarantee you at some time this triad, I probably will, but not today.
Just the triad or the whole semester?
Just the triad. We only do graphing a triad. After this triad, we are done with graphing, okay? You know how like first semester we kept moving on and further and further and further equations and they just never went away? Well, graphing will go away after this triad. Okay, the first thing I need to do here is label my x-axis and my y-axis. So because I really don't have a lot of room over here to label my x-axis on the right side, I'm going to go ahead and label it on the left side. Normally, I would always label it on my right, but I don't have a lot of room. So I'm going to label that as my x, and then I label my y-axis at the top. And now I'm going to go ahead and plot my points, or my ordered pair. So I'm going to do the first couple with you, and then I'll let you guys go. So the first ordered pair is going to be 1, 1. Remember, we plot the x, then the y.
Can I do it?
So I start at the origin, so tell me what to do, Isaiah.
Let me see your tab.
No, start at the origin, tell me what to do.
Alright, so you go over 1.
No,
Wait,
so start at the origin. Okay, so go which way? Left or right?
Right.
Okay. And
And
then,
then you go up 1.
so I'm going to plot that point.
Right.
So, what I do, put a line because I'm done with that. Then
Then you go over.
start at the
You start at the
origin.
Your origin. You go over 3 times.
Which spot? Which way? Left or right? Okay. And then what?
Then you go up 5 times. And 1.
Now, because these two here go together, you're going to connect those 2 lines. So, you need to use a straight edge, whether it be the back of your folder, your ID. If I'm always big on you must wear your IDs, but if you want to take your IDs off, and then that way, I always use my ID to connect my lines, do so. I do have a couple. Oh, they're right here. I do have a few rulers if you prefer not to use your ID.
Oh, my line list.
Oh yeah, can I please get a ruler? Cause
Yeah,
yeah.
These rulers are like years old. Okay, so, and I'm going to use my graphing line, which is, okay. So, now, I'm coming to my next set of ordered pairs that I'm going to connect. So basically what I'm saying, see how I drew from one plotted point to the other plotted point? We're drawing line segments. They have a definite beginning and a definite end. So I come to my next. So I'm done with this. So I come to my next 2 points that I'm going to connect. So the first ordered pair I'm going to graph is 6, 1. So I start at my origin, and which direction do I go?
Right 6.
Right 6.
Then
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
up 1.
Okay, so I'm going to plot that point there. So I'm done with that one. And then,
You start on the origin. And then you go up 5.
no, so I just go up 5?
Yeah.
So you totally skipped your
you go
x-axis.
over- You go over 6 times. And then you go up 5 times.
Okay, and then you connect those 2 points. Please don't do that.
Oh, we can't have one of those. What? Never mind. Never mind.
Okay, so I'm done. So I'm done with this row. So then I move to the next. I'm not going to take that. I'm very serious when I say if I do not see straight lines, I will not take it.
I don't see why is like why you want to exactly?
Okay, so ultimately when you guys finish, your finished product will look like this. You'll end up with initials. Now, you're going to end up with initials AB because the teacher that created this worksheet or this notes was Mr. Betts, which is Austin Betts. So that's what the finished product should look like.